Okay, we'll get started in just 1 minute. But today we're going to be focusing on learning to learn skills and starting off with attention control. So our last lesson on Tuesday, we talked about intellectual stamina and that be a couple of reasons that you either can pay attention or have trouble paying attention, and you came up with if something is something you don't want to do or something that also, if something is difficult or too easy, those are reasons why then it's harder to pay attention to it. So you have to focus your attention in those times when it is difficult to pay attention. Otherwise, you don't have to really think about paying attention. If you like what you're doing, you just pay attention. It just happens. But if it's really hard or you don't necessarily want to or like to do what you're doing, or it's so easy that it's boring, that's when you have to force yourself to pay attention and you need to use your attention control. So today, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to talk about how do you control your attention. So as I mentioned on Tuesday, this attention control process was developed by Bob Marzano and Daisy Arredondo, who wrote this Tactics for Thinking program. It's one of the learning to learn skills. So this is a skill that I've taught to children as young as first grade and to graduate students all the way through every single grade. And it's something that, I've worked with, my son has attention ADHD. I've worked with a lot of students who have ADHD. And a lot of times, sometimes teachers will just say, pay attention, but what does that mean to pay attention? Like, what is involved in paying attention? And that's what we're going to talk about today and learn how to control your attention. It is in your control. Even if you have ADHD, like my son does, you can control your attention if you choose to. And this is how you do it. All right. So we're going to go through a little bit here and then you can talk to each other. But let's start off with just paying attention to your own attention. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 slides, and each slide I'm going to show you for 1 minute. What I want you to do during that 1 minute is to pay attention to what's going on in your mind and what's going on in your body. Like both of those things. What is your body doing? What is your mind doing? And then we're going to talk about it after we go through the 2 different slides. So if you're ready, sit up straight, get ready. You're going to pay attention to the first slide for 1 minute. Okay, stop. All right, think about what just happened in your head, what happened in your body during that minute, and now we're going to go another minute for the next slide, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go. Okay, stop. All right, now what we're going to do is talk about what the difference was in your process. And I need to get our rooms here. I'm going to send you into a breakout room, and in the breakout room,
I think you might be muted.
thank you. Whenever we come back from a breakout room, I have to remember to unmute myself. So help me out if I do that. I'll probably do that more than once. All right, so with the black dot, some of you may be thinking something like, oh, is this a trick? Or, what's going to happen? Because it's just a black dot. Sometimes in our life, we have to pay attention to things that are like the black dot to us, where there's really nothing of interest that's holding our interest, and we have to do something to pay attention. When it comes to the other screen, there was definitely more to pay attention to. Usually when people are talking about this, they'll talk about how, it looked like this, it sounded like this, I'm not sounded, but they'll look at different things and say, that looked like whatever, that looked like a duck, or that looked like something. So all of those things you went through are the natural processes of you paying attention. So if we talk about what's happening in the natural process of pay attention, we can control our attention. So let's look at least the processes that that Marzano talks about. All right, and so he has 3 different parts of attention control. One is to adjust your energy level. So I think we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, but if you're tired, it's harder to pay attention than if you have energy. And sometimes if you have too much energy, it's hard to pay attention. And to bracket unrelated thoughts to think about, to really focus your attention and to create meaning for your learning. The big thing here is that attention is your decision. You can choose to pay attention. So sometimes when I'm being introduced to someone new, I'll ask, what's your name? And they tell me their name. And if I don't choose to pay attention at that minute, within 18 seconds, it's gone and I forget what they just said because I didn't choose to pay attention. So you do need to, it's an active choice. So one of the things, we'll go into detail for each one of these, is to adjust your energy level. Okay, if you have too much energy, it's hard to focus, or if you have not enough energy level. And there's a lot of things that you can do for this. And these are just a few of the things. And we'll talk about and practice some of these things throughout the class. I actually taught a whole course on attention control last semester. So there's more that I can add to this. But today we're just going to go briefly into just the surface of controlling your attention. One thing you can do to control your attention is to take a deep breath. Now, this works with both. If you have too much energy and you need to calm down, then you can take a deep breath and you can let it out slowly and it calms you down. So deep breath and then slowly let it out. The opposite, if you're too tired. If you're tired, you're not getting enough oxygen and you need the oxygen to get energy, so you can take a deep breath and let it out more quickly. So taking a deep breath is a simple way to either raise or lower your energy level, depending on what your energy level needs to be. And it depends on the task. If I'm going to go out and play pickleball, I'm going to need a lot more energy than if I'm going to sit and read my textbook. So it really depends on what you're doing. Now, correct posture can help too. So if you're laying on your bed and you're watching a video or reading a book, you're kind of letting your body know, hey, I'm in the relax mode, and you're not in the full attention mode. So actually, by sitting at a chair and sitting up and having good posture, it gives your brain the signal that you should be paying attention. If you have too much energy, you might want to just, think about your muscles and relax your muscles, and think about relaxing my toes and my feet and my legs, and go through kind of progressive relaxation to just take a moment to relax each part of you that might be kind of having too much energy. Also helps to lower the lights if you have too much energy. So, and if some of you are going to be in the classroom, this helps if you're trying to lower the energy of your class. By lowering the lights, it lowers the energy of the room. Another way to get more energy is to shake out your hands and feet. So I will do that with a class who seems to be lethargic, like Monday morning class. Say, let's stand up, let's shake out our hands, let's shake out our feet, and just get the blood flowing. And it helps you pay attention if the blood is flowing through your veins. Another way to lower attention level is to use a quiet voice. So I'm in the classroom and there seems to be too much energy. Maybe they just got back from lunch or they just got back from phys ed. Then I'll use a quiet voice and turn the lights down, and it helps to lower the energy level. And if you really need energy, it helps to just stand up and jump up and down. Okay, either shake out your hands and feet or jump up and down or just move. And like we saw in that first video, the first week is if you're getting ready to study and you need some energy and motivation, just take a walk. It's best if you can walk outside, but we live in Buffalo, so I understand walking outside isn't always an option. So taking a walk at school or in your wherever it is that you live, just walking around will help get the blood flowing and kind of get you in the right space so that you can focus your attention. So that's one part of attention control, is to adjust your energy level to whatever the task is that you're about to do. Another one is to bracket unrelated thoughts. That means something comes into your head and it's not related to what we're doing, then you need to be aware and push it out. This is it's very natural for your body to kind of put ideas in your head. It could be anything that's happening, could be a sound that happens in the room or anything. Sometimes our unconscious, just something comes up from our unconscious and bubbles up and it comes into our mind. So we have to be able to like get rid of that and focus on the thing that we need to focus on. I think of when I'm driving, when I'm driving and I'm just driving on a straight road, it's very easy for everything to come into my head. So I have to really think about, I have to pay attention to the road and bracket those unrelated thoughts that can really distract me from what I'm supposed to be doing. If you're playing a sport, the same thing might happen to you. You're supposed to be paying attention to whatever it is that you're doing. You're playing your sport and some other thoughts come in. You need to be able to push them out of your mind so you can focus on what you're supposed to be doing. And there's a couple of ways to do this. Let's say you're in a class and you're in a lecture and these thoughts come into your mind. Sometimes you can't get them out of your mind because it's something that's important, but it's just not related to what we're doing now. So one thing you can do is if you're taking notes on a piece of paper, is to just have a little section in the paper that's out thinking. So in thinking is what's happening right now in front of you. Out thinking is another thought that occurred to you that's important and you don't want to forget it. But if you write it down in the out column, then you can forget about it because it's right there. So you don't have to keep obsessing about it. So this is one strategy that can help you focus. It's called in and out thinking. Another part of attention control is to create meaning. And some of you are doing that for, say, that dot. What does this dot mean? What is she going to do? Is she going to test me on? Is it going to turn into something? Or even the other one where you said, oh, this looks like this, or it reminds me of that. You were making meaning of this image that had no inherent meaning in of itself, but you were making connections to your own mind. And that helps you pay attention. When you force yourself to say, what does this mean? Maybe you're not really interested in what you're reading in a textbook. But if you try to force yourself to say, what does it mean for me? What does it mean for me? Why did the professor have me read this? Why did someone write this? There's got to be some kind of inherent meaning in whatever it is that I'm trying to read or do. So by asking yourself the question, what does this mean? Like, here's a strategy that's called what's in it for me. It almost sounds like a radio station, WIIFM. But see, our limbic system, the inner part of our brain, is very selfish and it's going to pay attention. It focuses our attention on something that is selfish for us. So if I'm thinking I'm hungry, or I'm thinking I can't wait to do something after this class, or something like that, the limbic system is going to want to focus on me. But our neocortex, which is the outer covering of the brain, that's where our thinking, our creative and critical thinking lies. And we really need to upshift into that part of our brain when we're paying attention by asking ourselves, what's in it for me? What connections do I have? And by forcing ourselves to focus on what it is we're trying to focus on, then we can get beyond the limbic system and that selfishness of just trying to meet our own physical or mental needs. So that's one strategy for create meaning. Another one is to make connections. And I use this with my students, is to think a link. Sometimes if a student makes a good connection in class and I'm teaching, I might give them a paperclip and we'll add the paperclip to a big string of paperclips showing, making connections is a good thing. And so you can do this on your own when you're studying or in class. I encourage you to stop. I know I talk a lot, but you can interrupt me if you're thinking about something. If you can make a connection, that helps you pay attention and it helps you remember as well. So not just paying attention, but to put whatever you're learning into your brain, okay, to process that information. So by asking yourself, how is this related to what I already know? How is it related to people that I know? How is it useful to me in my life? By answering those kind of questions, you're going to be able to focus your attention and bracket unrelated thoughts. So here we have attention control. Think about how these 3 parts of attention control can be useful for you. Remember, attention is your decision. How can it be useful for you and others around you? I'm going to open the breakout rooms again. Okay, welcome back. All right, you will notice that what I just asked you to do was to create meaning for your attention control. So I asked you to actually use the 3rd step there, and I will do that often. In class, I'll ask you to stop and think about how can you apply this? What does this mean for you? And I'm actually helping you control your attention by doing that. And there is an image here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be going on to is power thinking. We have 2 more things to go through today, power thinking and goal setting. So I want to make sure I keep going here. So power thinking, just with the words, I'm not going to tell you what power thinking is. I'm going to give you lots of examples. And as you're looking at these examples and thinking about them, I want you to draw a conclusion about what you think power thinking is. So we're going to go through this, and then I'll put you back in your breakout rooms and you can talk for a minute about what you think power thinking is. So here we go. These are all quotes, and they all have to do with power thinking. The difference between the novice and the master is that the master has failed more times than the novice has tried. Think like a queen. A queen is not afraid to fail. Failure is another stepping stone to greatness. A pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. The difference between can and cannot are only 3 letters. 3 letters that determine your life's direction. If you're not—
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't know if you were sharing your screen or
Oh, thank you. I thought I was sharing
no
my
problem.
screen. Okay. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know and not just keep going on. All right, here we go. The difference between can and cannot are only 3 letters. 3 letters that determine your life's direction. If you're not going to believe in yourself, then why is anyone else going to believe in you? Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Success is falling 9 times and getting up 10. Those who wish to sing always find a song. Do or do not. There is no try. Quinn, what did your room talk about? What do you think power thinking is?
We pretty much said that, it's being like a go-getter, thinking optimistically and, positive thinking, being, you know, just getting after it.
Good. All right, that makes sense. Thanks, Quinn.
Thank
How
you.
about how about in room two? Izzy, what was your room talking about?
We kind of talked about the example you gave. I think it was about your son, how you said he almost kind of like pretended he could
Mhm.
focus. So kind of like saying that you like something will happen or you're gonna make it happen. So almost kind of like manifestation, like the positive thinking.
Good, good. All right, how about room three? Jada, what was your room talking about?
So we talked about like similarly to group 1 and 2, just positive thinking and that whatever you put your mind to, like you can do it. Like there's nothing that you can't do.
All right, good. It's good to hear it over and over, right? Josie, what about room four?
So for room four, it was basically the same as everyone else. It was just being able to think positively and always giving things a try and really leaving giving up as like the last option.
All right, good, good. All right, I'm going to stop there because you got it, and we'll talk to the other rooms in a little bit. But yeah, so we're just repeating what everyone's saying. You got it. Power thinking is believing in yourself, and this is just this is how old tactics for thinking is. This was a um, overhead projector slide. So it was before even computers, before you were even probably born. But I like it because it shows if you see the little guys on the side and you're saying, if you say, I won't, look at the I won't, it's your attitude about what do you believe you can do. It's believing in yourself. It's that positive attitude and saying, you know what, I can do it. I will do it. Not I'm going to try, I might, that's getting there, but to say, I will do this. And what I've done is I made an attitude meter and I put it in my classroom. And I would, if whenever I needed it, I would refer to it either with an individual child or with the whole class and say, where are you on this attitude meter? Because the more red you show on the attitude meter, the more likely it is that you're going to be successful. If you're saying, I won't, your chance of being successful is pretty much nil because you're not going to even try. The more you can say to yourself, well, I think I might be able to do it. If someone helps me, I can. Then that's raising up your attitude. And that really can help you. That's maybe the thing that's getting in your way and your motivation because you don't believe in yourself. And I can tell you a little story of something that happened with one of my classes one year is I teach this to a lot of classes, not just this class, but no matter what I'm teaching, I may put in these learning to learn skills at the beginning of the semester just so that whatever I'm teaching, the students can be successful. And one class, I did this lesson. And then after that, I noticed there was one girl that was absent for this class. And after that, we did a lot of things, and some of the things were challenging, but not too hard for them to do, but challenging. And she was a big whiner and would say, I can't, this is hard, I can't do this, because she didn't have that lesson. And so as soon as I stopped and took her aside and gave her that lesson, after that, she was okay and she was able to get through the content. But that's what was getting in her way. I mean, and this was a graduate class, so this wasn't even in high school or anything. She was a graduate student, and that attitude of I can't was getting in her way of being successful in the class. So this is something that you can control your own attitude, and you can help others who have this attitude of I can't, and that's getting in their way of being successful. So that's what power thinking is believing in yourself and having that I can attitude. And that leads us into, well, something else that's in your textbook has to do with attribution theory, and how you attribute your success. What do you attribute it to? So what I would like you to do is in the chat, I want you to put an A, B, C, or D. So, or I'm sorry, rank these 4 things. So what do you attribute your success to? So if you think it's the first thing is luck, I'm going to put a B first, and then a C, and then an A and a D, or whatever. So put these 4 letters in order. What do you attribute your success to? And then send it through in the chat, please. What do we have control over? Right? We have control over our effort and our work habits, but we don't have control over our luck or our natural ability. And here's a mistake that we make as parents, as teachers, is we say to kids, you're so smart, or we say, oh, you were really lucky. And actually, because we only have control over our effort and our work habits, that's what we should really focus on. How hard did you try? How much effort did you put into it? Did you persevere and not give up? And that's when you can control your success by actually paying attention to those things rather than saying, I was just lucky, or I was just born smart and I'm just lucky that I'm smart. And that's why I do well in school. Well, it's not just that, but it's the effort too. So those are a couple things that are kind of related to power thinking. And also there's the growth mindset. So there's a little video. Some of you already watched it. We're not going to watch it in class because of time, but I think it's just a 3-minute video anyways. But this is a whole theory. We could have a whole course on the growth mindset, but it's also related to this power thinking and believing in yourself and believing, in your ability to make change. So you're going to watch that video if you haven't already between now and Sunday night. And that leads us to our last thing that we're going to cover today, and that is goal setting and motivation. And these are all related. So if there was some research done on people who were successful in their jobs, no matter what their jobs were, whether they were a chef, a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a rocket scientist, it didn't matter. Whatever your profession is, a housewife, anything. This researcher, I think his name was Eric Johnson, he interviewed all of these people to find out what it was that caused them to be successful. And he thought he was going to write this book and he's going to get rich because he's going to find out the recipe for being successful. But it turns out that there was only one thing that everyone had in common, and that is that they were goal setters. They set goals for themselves and they work toward their goals. So if you want to be a successful student or a successful counselor or a successful coach or a successful teacher or parent, whatever, goal setting is the key here. And so we're going to talk about the skill of setting goals. This is another one of those learning to learn skills and the motivation behind that, because goal setting also has to do with motivation. If you set a goal, but you don't work toward it because you're not motivated, then what good is setting the goal? So these two things go hand in hand. So we talked about intellectual stamina on Tuesday. So you're going along with your life. You get to that part where there's a hump in your life. Maybe something is very difficult or very boring or something you just don't want to do it. And there's the hump. Here's where you need to use your intellectual stamina, your attention control, your power thinking. Like, I can go over the hump. I'm going to control my attention. I'm going to do what I need to do to get over that hump. And that's where goal setting comes in, is I will get over that hump. There's different kinds of motivation. So intrinsic motivation is the best because that gives us, it comes from within us. It's we get when we have An intrinsic motivation, we'll feel proud when we reach our goal. We might be curious. It comes from our own interest. And so we're motivated to do whatever it is that we're doing because it comes from within. Now, sometimes that motivation isn't there. And we talked about that last week too, or on Tuesday, about sometimes you're just not interested in it. You're taking a class that maybe isn't as interesting or something. That's when we have to pull out extrinsic motivation. And that's what we're looking for, some kind of. Maybe you're doing it for the grade or for money or for praise or to avoid punishment like getting a bad grade, or avoid punishment like losing points because you didn't do your work or something. That's extrinsic motivation. And sometimes we have to resort to that because whatever it is that we want, our goal is, intrinsic motivation just isn't working for us. But it is better if you can use intrinsic motivation. There's another video there that a lot of you watched, but some of you are going to watch then between now and Sunday. And it's really interesting. I won't give it away, but when they talk about the different tasks, you'll be really surprised about something in that video. So I won't spoil it for you. But if you already watched it, you know what I'm talking about. So let's get on to goal setting in the process. This is according to Marzano in this Tactics for Thinking program. And he says that there's 4 steps to goal setting. And the first one is to set that goal, but to make sure that you set it using your power thinking. So I will accomplish this by a certain time. And notice that it doesn't say I will try. Because if you say try, you're already giving yourself an out that, oh, I tried. I didn't reach it, but I tried. No, you're not going to just try. You're going to do it. So I will do such and such. I will finish grading all of these papers by this afternoon or whatever it is. I will finish writing this essay by tomorrow at noon, whatever it is. Okay, it could be long-term goals, short-term goals. The next step, so this is the I will by a certain time, and notice the power thinking. The next step is to visualize yourself reaching your goal. And sometimes people don't realize how powerful it is to actually see yourself doing something. So to actually think about, to maybe close your eyes and think about, what is it going to look like when I finish my goal? What is it going to feel like? How proud I'm going to be, or how relieved I'm going to feel when I reach that goal. So visualizing and thinking about what it's going to look like, what's it going to feel like when you reach your goal, even if it just takes a moment or two, this helps you work towards your goal. And there's actually research done on this, the power of mental rehearsal. And a professor had students go to a gym and shoot baskets. This was not a gym class. And they just mentally, they shot baskets, and he kept track of how many baskets they made. And then he had 1/3 of the class do nothing for the next month and related to basketball. And 1/3 of the class, he had them go regularly and shoot baskets and practice shooting baskets. And then the other 1/3 of the class, he had them mentally shoot baskets in their mind for a month. Okay, to stop and think about making the basket and correcting themselves if they didn't make it. And he brought them back at the end of the month. And it turns out that the first group didn't improve at all. The second group, I don't remember the exact numbers, improved quite a bit because they had practiced for a month. The third group hadn't touched a basketball, but they improved almost as much as the group that practiced for a month. And when you combine both of them with actual practice and mental rehearsal, then it goes up even more success. And athletes, Olympians know this because they use mental rehearsal as well as physical rehearsal. So it's really important in your goal setting, use that mental rehearsal and go through and see yourself reaching your goal. Because the third step is actually doing the work. Okay, you can have all the goals you want, but if you don't actually work towards your goal, then you're not going to do it. So do the work. And then at the end or in the middle, evaluate your progress. How am I doing on my goal? If you're not doing so well, what's going wrong? What can I do differently? To actually, think about that and to adjust your goal if possible, or adjust what you're doing to work towards your goal. So those are the 4 steps to goal setting. What I'm going to ask you to do is think about it this week, because next week you're going to be actually writing a goal for yourself for this semester or for this week. So you're going to write an academic goal. So it's going to be, I will do such and such by a certain date. Okay, and then you're going to write a plan for how you're going to reach your goal. So I just wanted to introduce it this week so that you're familiar with the process and you can start thinking about what goal you want. Over the next week or two, we're going to look at several learning strategies and study strategies. So you might end up with a goal like, I'm going to try this strategy or that strategy. So I don't want you to actually do your goal yet, because over the next couple of weeks, you're going to learn about several strategies that you might want to try. And I'm hoping that some of you will say, I'm going to try this strategy or that strategy to improve my studying. So we watched this the first week on motivating yourself to reach your goals. So once you set your goals, if you have trouble working towards your goal, remember the tips that he talked about in this video. And that was to go outside and take a walk, or take a walk inside if you can't, to commit to a single task. I'm going to do this right now and just work on this. He used this thing called momentum. So watch when I open up a new tab and it says, what is your main goal for the day? I can put what my goal is for the day. And over here, I can add different things that I'm going to do that maybe not today or maybe this week. I can add a list of what I'm going to do. And when I finish it, I can check it off. So what I like about this is you can have a main goal for the day, and then you can switch it. Let's say you reach that goal and then you want to do something else. So this is a nice just Chrome extension that you can add if you use Chrome. And it has a nice power thinking at the bottom, live your dream and share your passion. There's always a quote at the bottom and a beautiful scene. And you can say what your goal is. And again, you can put other things that you want to do. So again, this is kind of like the putting on the side, the in and out thinking. This is other stuff I have to work on. I'm going to put it on my list, but I can forget about it because this is the one thing that I'm going to focus on right now. So that's commit to a single task. If we let ourselves be distracted by all that we have to do, we can't get that single task done. So we need to, when we say this is what we're going to do, don't let the other stuff that you have to do come into your head. Push it aside, put it on your list, and just focus on that one single task. Clear your workspace, because it's very distracting if you have a lot of things around you. And then there's that low effort hack. If you have a lot to do, maybe pick the thing that's going to be quickest and fastest and easiest and get that done and check it off. Or in a large task, pick something smaller within that task to get started on. And once you get going, then you can hopefully, get into it more. So those are some of the tasks, the steps that he talks about in that video that you can remember to use when you're having trouble working towards your goal. So start thinking about your academic goal for this semester, and next week we'll be talking about it. And as we kind of put together some of these strategies that I've already talked about, can put them together into this responsibility framework. Like, you can take charge of your own learning, and you don't have to be giving yourself or others excuses of why you're not doing your work. Okay? Think about, why is it that I'm not getting my work done? Is it because I'm not controlling my attention? You can check your energy level. Do you need to focus your thoughts? Do you need to create meaning? Are you thinking that this is not meaningful? So create some meaning for it. Or is it your attitude that's getting in your way? Do you not believe in yourself? Do you think it's too hard and you can't do it? What can you do to help yourself have a positive attitude about what it is that you're learning? And to set goals for yourself. I will do this by a certain time. When you put these things all together and you take responsibility for your learning, that's when you can help yourself be successful. And because I work with a lot of students at all different grade levels. Right now it's just undergraduates and graduates, but I have worked with kindergarten through 12th grade. And a lot of times the reason that students aren't successful is because one of these things. They're not controlling their attention, or they're saying it's too hard. I can't do it. Here's all the reasons why I can't be successful. Instead of setting a goal and saying, I will. Yes, there's things that come into our life. We all have hardship sometimes. When I was going through school, I had 2 babies at the time. I was working full time. I had 2 jobs and was working on my master's degree, and it was hard. And believe me, there were certain days when I wanted to give in. But you just say, I will do it, and you keep going. And all of you, have that time where you have some adversity in your life and you need to, get past and keep working. If something happens that you can't get past, then sometimes you may have to put pause on your studies and go take care of that. But in general, you need to believe in yourself and take responsibility for your learning. So what you're going to do between now and Sunday is to write in your learning journey blog. So some of you have already done it. So week 1, if you look and see in Google Classroom, there's the 2 Edpuzzle videos that you're going to watch, and then it says return to UB Learns. So in week 1 in UB Learns, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to write in your blog. And I saw a lot of you already did this. So you're just going to introduce yourself and upload a picture of yourself if you can. And then in the following weeks, you're going to have your blog buddies are the same buddies that you talk with in the room that you were just in today. But for now, don't worry about that. Just go in there and introduce yourself. And the last thing you'll do is go to this week 1 checklist and just check off all of the things that you did this week. So, and this again is for you, not for me. I won't be looking at this. It's just something that other students in the past have told me it was really helpful. So you attended the Zoom sessions, you completed the Thinking Styles Preference Survey and the Intellectual Stamina exercise. We did that in class on Tuesday. You watched the videos in Edpuzzle. There were 4 of them for this week. And you completed your blog reflection. And then you submit that, and then you're done for the week. All right. If anyone has any questions, then hang back with me and I'll be glad to help you out. Otherwise, we are done with class a little bit early, so you're excused. And I have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday.